Hey guys, welcome back to Graphospasm, and we are going to walk through another awesome lesson today. All of our lessons in Graphospasm, some of them are really on that creative side. Then there are some that are completely on the business side of writing and the writing industry. And then I've got a third category of lessons, and those are ones that are in the structural side. The structural side is really what drives your success level in the writing world. A lot of people, a lot of people can write really well. They can give you beautiful words that just flow, that just like feel like honey on the tip of your tongue. And it is awesome. You want to be around those words, you want to enjoy those words and experience them. But I know a lot of people who can write really well, but can't write a book. And that's because there's this other piece to it. There's this structural piece. And that's where you kind of got to be an engineer. Now, anybody who knows my Book in a Month course, and we are going to be offering that online for you finally really soon because I know so many of you have been asking for that online. But anybody who's been through that knows very well that when I walk you through, I do this approach called the nonlinear and full sensory. Full sensory, it's really easy. It's talking about getting your right and left side of the brain working together, getting that creative energy going at the same time that you're starting to fire synapses on all of that logical stuff, all of that mathematical stuff. Then there's this nonlinear, and I'm going to explain that piece to you because it comes to play all the time. And this piece that we're going to walk through today, called the 12 story building blocks, this is really more of a fiction approach. I have a nonfiction approach to it that's called the roadmap and concept and structure. These 12 story blocks, or the roadmap on the nonfiction side, they completely align with the nonlinear approach to writing, and they're going to help you get through your story. So just a little anecdote for you. Last week, one of my incredible clients had a book come out called Content That Dances. And I have to tell you that just not too long before the release, maybe I won't tell you how long, but it was pretty close to when it was time for us to release. And she and I were sitting down and we said, we got to shift all this material around. She's like, this doesn't work. And we did, and I'm so glad we did because it made it awesome. If you haven't gotten Content That Dances by Sarah Schwab yet, hop online on Amazon and pick it up. It's a great book. But the reason that we were able to kind of bring this more sensical order to her book is because we had created chunks. And that's what nonlinear writing is all about. It's about creating pieces that you can move around to make the story make more sense. I'm going to talk about storyboard in a completely different lesson, but let me just give you an idea of what nonlinear is all about. A lot of us, when we're learning to write, no matter what age we are, we tend to revert back to that, first and second grade self when we're like, this is my story. It goes beginning, middle, end. That's it. And occasionally, as you advance, you learn some of the things that go in here. Let's talk about our character. We want to have our setting. We may have our climax over here. You're learning all of these things. You might know that you're supposed to get, a conclusion and learn how to write that. But at the end of the day, we're writing in a line. We're writing from beginning to middle to end. And that's a problem because that does not translate well in our brains. Our brains are not a line. They are this massive conglomeration of nerves and cells and different centers, and your language center is not where your creative center is not where your speech center is not where your senses are, is not where your tangible and your feeling and all of that stuff is. Your brain is all over the place. And then you've got those logic pieces that are in there. And so why would we be writing in a line when we as humans are not biologically made to write in a linear format? It doesn't make sense. So nonlinear is all about, instead of doing this, because what happens, people, as they're doing this, they're chugging along. Oh, I know exactly how this story is starting out. I know who my character is. I know where it's taking place. And oh yeah, we're in the middle and we're good to go. And I've introduced my climax here. And I don't know how the heck to get from here to here. So I quit and I put away the book. And I don't pick it up again. And oh my goodness, there's nothing so frustrating as an unfinished story. I hate it. I don't know about you guys, really don't like it. So, by the way, some of you sci-fi fantasy writers, oh, I know who you are. Yeah, you are totally living in that wall where you stopped your writing. They're the worst. Love you guys. I only say it because I've been there. I do that. Sci-fi and fantasy. Your brains are amazing. The ideas that you come up with. And even though we are these creative people that can come up with these out of the world imaginary ideas, we still can't push past that wall. That's where the nonlinear approach really comes in. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. Nonlinear approach is really all about, instead of writing in a line, it's creating all of those pieces to your story. So, yep, I know I got to write about my character. I know I got to write about my climax. I know I've got to have my setting. Whatever these things are, you're going to identify, you're going to create all these pieces. It's awesome. I'm making these really strong pieces. I'm doing all the fun stuff I like to do in writing. I'm introducing my enemy. You know, I've got my antagonist. I know the workplace of my main character, all these things. It's about creating all of these things. You don't have to create them in any particular order. What you're going to do after you create them is then you're going to go back into your book and you're going to connect them. These are called transitions. When you work into my book in a month course, you're going to see that we spend the first week creating these pieces. The second week, we take some time to grow these pieces, and we give all sorts of methods to grow these pieces. The third week, we decorate these pieces. And what I mean by that is that we're stylizing them. We're adding our unique author voice. We're bringing more to them. So maybe this piece becomes a star, and this is a triangle, and this is a very square piece. We got to get some background, and we add some polka dots. We end up decorating these pieces. Now we have all these really great pieces. That fourth week is when we're going to add all those transitions, and we're going to edit those pieces, what we call take apart. That's what Book in a Month does. And we can connect. But the cool thing about doing something in that nonlinear approach is, let's say I'm over here creating the setting, and I'm like, I'm so bored with my own writing. I do not even want to write this right now. I'm going to stop and put it away, because that's what we've been taught in that linear teaching method. Stop, put it away, get back to it. How often do we really get back to it, right? Instead, if I'm bored over here writing setting, cool, I want to hop into my climax. If I'm not quite feeling the adrenaline I need for the climax, I'm going to hop over to my character and enjoy that for a little bit. I might come over here and do a magic moment. By doing the nonlinear approach, you can create all of these different blocks, and you can create them in any order that you want, because eventually you're going to connect them. And as happened with my client Sarah Schwab before last week, we actually were able to take some of those pieces and say, you know what? I really would like to take and move this piece. I don't like it here. Can we put this over here? Let's connect it to this one instead. That's what nonlinear allows you to do. All of a sudden, you're able to finish things that you've never been able to finish before, because you've been trying to write in a line. Your brain isn't a line. Your writing shouldn't be either. So we're going to talk about those 12 story building blocks. Again, if you take my Book in a Month class, we actually work on building those 12 story blocks. But today what I'm going to do in Graphospasm is I'm just going to tell you what they are so that you can kind of play with them a little bit and get a little bit of an initiation into this nonlinear model of writing. So I like to do what I call the jump start method of a story. Jump, you start at the bottom and you work your way up, right? So we're going to set this stuff up and then we're going to jump up and we're going to make the players come out really happy. So your players are going to be your main characters. So obviously you're going to develop those main characters. And then you're also going to have your secondary characters. That falls under the players, the P of the Jumpstart method. Now, main character and secondary character, there are a couple of things I do want to tell you about that. That main character, you just want to make sure that you're not making a paper doll. You really want that character to come off the page. I have a 3P problems with people character lesson, and that one I think we're doing later this year in Graphospasm, so make sure that you stick around because I'm going to teach you how to date your character in I don't mean date as in putting them into a different time period. I mean like make this a person that your reader's going to be attracted to, going to want to engage with. That is what I mean by dating your characters. So you're going to have your main character, you're going to create your secondary characters. Now, when I say secondary characters, there are two ways that you can bring them into your stories. Sometimes there's just introducing the character. Maybe you're showing that character in his or her own setting. Other times, it's in a moment that you're showing that character. So they are interacting with your main character. So this could be an antagonist, this could be the best friend, this could be a parent, this could be the great enemy that everybody has to defeat. Doesn't matter, it's a different character. It's a secondary character. So you've got your main character or your secondary character, which may be introduced by having what I call a camaraderie moment. And that could also be, kind of the contrast to that camaraderie moment. It might be a moment of tension if you're setting up your main character to be opposite your antagonist in the story. Those are your players. So our 2 of our 12 building blocks fall under the players. Those are our characters and our main characters and our secondary characters or camaraderie creating moments. Our mission is really the meat of our story. Notice everything's like 2 or 3. The mission has like 5 things in it. And that's because that's what drives a story forward. I don't care how great your characters are, if something's not happening with that character, your reader is not interested in their life. I've had a couple of those books or movies that you see or you read and you're like, nothing happened. I can't get that time back in my life. So don't be that author who sends your readers on that journey. Have a mission. So a mission, that includes your event or goal. Now, really they're the same thing because in reality, you're going to have a goal no matter what. Sometimes though, it is the event that sets up the goal. So if you're talking a disaster movie, if the event is a tornado, the goal is obviously to survive this tornado, to solve this tornado, or in the case of the movie Twister, to discover and implement an advanced warning system so that people could be saved in the future from this tornado. There is an event in that case, but the event ultimately leads to the goal. No matter what, you have a goal. That goal can be an internal goal. It might be a character, especially in a memoir or something that's a little bit more of an adult fiction narrative type of style. They may have a growth journey to go on. They may need to come to healing. They may need to find confidence. There are a lot of different things that can happen that are internal goals. And then your external goals, those are the ones that you're going to find usually in your genre fiction. So your mystery, your sci-fi, your fantasy, your thriller, your horror. Sorry, I hate horror. Ugh. So all of those, though, they have externally based missions for the most part. So you have an event or a goal. No matter what, it's going to have a goal. It's whether or not an event triggers that goal, or the goal is just directly given to the character or stated by the character. The next thing is the calm before the storm moment. And it's not necessarily next in terms of chronological order, but it's just the next thing that we're talking about. So calm before the storm is really, it's just that. You've got your people together, they're hanging out, it's great, life is good, but the event or goal is not yet achieved. So maybe your reader is enjoying and bonding with your characters and with the people in your story in this moment. They may be starting to feel something. They're connecting. This is a relationship building moment, not just for the characters. This is a relationship building moment between your reader and the book. That is the calm before the storm. But they know it's not over. They know there's like, don't you, I can't stand that. It's like getting close to the end of the movie and you're like, I'm really enjoying this, but I know there's still more to come. And half the time you're thinking, who are they going to kill off, right? That's your calm before the storm. Everything is going great, but you know there's more to come. Magic moment. This is the heart of my story building blocks. So if you take my speech classes, I actually talk to you about the 5 manners of human connection. I have a full presentation preparation class. It really is going to help you create your expert speaking platform. We are doing that in 2 pieces later this year in Graphospasm. Again, it's going to be kind of an abbreviated version because Graphospasm is shorter. But what I want you to think about when it comes to human connection is think of a person, human connection. And up here we have our head, which is logic. We have our heart, which is emotion. We have our hands, which are desire, want. So desire. We have our feet, which are motivation. And we have our gut, which is our sense, our gut feeling. Think about that. It's that instinctive, and a lot of times that comes from our sensory. It's going to be those feelings that aren't like a sentimental, but more of those feelings that are living in the range of, I don't know, that doesn't set right with me. That's what that gut is. So when I'm looking at this, you're going, what the heck does this have to do with how I'm doing this magic moment in my story? So your magic moment is when you, as a writer, are going to connect to your reader. The magic that's happening in the pages may not necessarily be between the characters. It may not be an actual magic moment like in Harry Potter and it's, Alohomora and she opens the door. It's just like, that might not be the magic. When I'm saying magic, the magic is happening between you, the writer, and your audience, the reader. The reason you need to know this is because you as a writer should know what audience you're writing for. So if I'm writing a business book for statisticians who are really trying to dig into the analytics of their company, I'm going to need some head logic in there. I'm going to need to connect to them through their head by presenting some undeniable logic for them. If I am talking to somebody who is money driven, maybe this is very young, this is maybe I'm looking at an athletic, target audience, there's this strong desire. So with them, I'm going to need to build some that I want that in them. So just between you and I, Graphospasmers, I used to draw the desire down in the groin. So you can kind of get an idea, if I tell you that, what kind of a desire I'm saying that you need to create for your audience. Now, I'm not saying that you want a lusty desire in that sexual sense, but I am saying that there just needs to be an I want that experience. I want to be in that. So by putting that in your book and creating that magic moment, you're going to create this moment where you're like, it could be between 2 friends. It's like the famous bro relationships that they have. And that's such a common thing to write in stories. And I'm not putting that down. It's common because it's something we want. We all want that incredibly bonded relationship. There's this deep, deep instinctful desire for that. That's what I mean by desire. When I'm seeing desire, I mean real deep desire. Emotion, this is sentimentality. You're going to connect to somebody. Now, it doesn't have to be a sweet and loving and romantic emotion. It can be anger. It can be hate. Whatever that is, that's an emotion. It can be rejection. Something that's going to maybe speak to your audience. If you have an audience that is connecting mostly through emotion and figuring out who your audience is, that's a whole other exercise, and I can walk through that with you. That's where you're going to put some emotion in your story to create that magic moment. Sense, this is that gut piece. Now, a lot of times in like a thriller, you might have somebody, walking through an alley and it's dark and it's damp and you hear a cat cross the alley. These are all things that are going to awaken that something's not right feeling in our reader. It's a gut feeling. And notice that to create that gut feeling, I was talking about sights and sounds and like the feel, like the damp air. All of those things that you're using in your sensory writing, those are the kinds of things that drive that gut magical connection between your audience and your story. Then we have the motivation in the feet, similar to desire. But one of them, the desire is just building that want. When you're doing the feet, when you're really talking about that, you're giving the reader the belief that they can also have this. It's something that they can demonstrate in their life. So either your character in a fiction story is going to do something that's very relatable, that the reader's going, oh my gosh, I've totally been there. I can do that. I can have this. Oh, he knows how to figure it out. He knows how to get to the goal, because there's this motivation in the reader. If it's a business story or a personal story or a leadership book or a self-improvement book, you might actually just lay out the steps for your reader to be able to have that motivation to go forward and accomplish the goal that you're trying to teach them. So this magic moment that you're going to create is all centered around the 5 areas of human connection. How are you, the writer, going to connect with your reader? And you might have several moments that you describe in that. Resolution and conclusion are very similar. I actually should have flipped them. It should be conclusion and resolution. Conclusion is, no, that was right the first time. Sorry. Resolution means you've resolved the mission. Think res, they all both start the same. So you resolve the mission, that's your resolution. Conclusion, though, is tying up the loose ends. So let's go the cheesy romance level. In this story, you've got the guy, he wants to win back his ranch. And in the resolution, he's going to do it. He's going to win back his ranch. But the conclusion, he also gets the girl next door who owned the other ranch. They're going to join together. It's going to be happily ever after. The ranch is twice the size, and they have all sorts of cute little baby cows. So, resolution and conclusion. Those are 2 different things. They are, by the way, the only 2 things in this whole list that can happen only once in your book. You might have mini resolutions, but those are not really mini resolutions then. Those are calm before the storm moments. Your umbrella is everything under which your story is happening. Therefore, it takes place, your umbrella includes your setting. Your umbrella includes the network of friendships and organizations, and it also includes the system, your system of government, your system of work. It is the overall umbrella under which your story happens. So those are the 3 things under your umbrella. And last but not least, you have the junk that gets in the way of your players completing the mission under the umbrella. The junk is the inner conflict and the outer conflict. Just like it sounds, the inner conflict comes from within the character. I want to climb that mountain, but I'm afraid of heights. The outer conflict comes from external of the character. I want to climb that mountain, but it is storming really hard and I don't feel like falling off of it. Inner, outer. One of them the character has control over, or at least the illusion of control over. We don't always control everything within ourselves. And the other, they have 0 control over. Acts of nature, acts of God, things that are just out of our, acts of other people. That's external to us as well. Jump. These are the 12 story building blocks of the Jumpstart method. main characters, secondary characters, or camaraderie, the event or goal, both of which are always going to eventually tie to a goal. The calm before the storm, the magic moment, which is really just a manner of the 5 human connection methods. Resolution, finish up the story. Conclusion, make it a happily ever after, or not so much if you're writing those thrillers. Setting, where it takes place. The network of your system of the network of your friendships and your organizations, the system of government, the system of work, your inner conflict from within you, and the outer conflict that is external and out of your power. By creating these 12 different story blocks, you can switch them up. You can mix them up. You can do 10 different goals. You can have 8 different settings. You can have 5 different moments focused on that main character. You can have 3 different ones focused on camaraderie. You can have several magic moments. Your climax, I'm not saying you don't need climax like we had in that earlier linear model, but your climax might look a little different. Your climax might be a magic moment, quite frankly. Your climax could be the resolution. Your climax might be a camaraderie moment. They're bonding over a battle. Who knows? That climax could fall in any number of these. Action can fall into any number of these. The idea is that you learn how to create these 12 different story blocks. Does your story have all 12 of these pieces? If not, maybe you need to join Book in a Month when it comes out soon. Otherwise, I hope this is at least a great start for you as we continue in our Graphospasm teachings this year. Have a great day.